Sod Talk is presented by AgPro. This is the FSU football sod cemetery in its 62nd season, and it's become one of the great traditions of college football. When you're near Doak Campbell, come by the sod cemetery and push the button, just like FSU football players do on their way into practice. You'll hear from legendary Seminoles who tell of the days when they brought home the victory sod from on the road, against the crowd and against the odds. In 2010, Lamarcus Joyner came to Florida State from Miami and St. Thomas Aquinas High as the USA Today Defensive Player of the Year. At FSU, he was an immediate contributor as a fast and tough team leader at safety. In 2013, the championship year, he was sod captain when the Seminoles went to Death Valley and beat Clemson 51-13. His Seminoles won the national championship, and he was an NCAA unanimous All-American. He went on to have a 9-year NFL career with the Rams, Raiders, and Jets, and a 2018 Super Bowl appearance. In 2024, he was inducted in the FSU Athletics Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility.
Thanks, Doug. It's great to have an all-time great, Lamarcus Joiner. Lamarcus, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing, Corey?
I'm doing well, man. Doing well. Great to have you. I want to jump right into it. Coming out of high school, you went to St. Thomas Aquinas High School. You were USA Today Defensive Player of the Year. What led you to come and make FSU home?
Growing up in my household, my older brother, they love FSU. I grew up, have to watch the highlight tapes of Peter Ward, Terrell Buckley, Derrick Brooks, all those guys. That was just the colors in my house. And so I always had a thing for Florida State just through that.
You came in to Florida State as a cornerback, and then you made the move to safety. What led to you moving from one of the top cornerbacks in the country to becoming a safety here at Florida State?
I just wanted to help the team out, and I ran it by Coach Mark Stoops at the time that, I can play safety. If you guys did your homework, you should know that I'm a hell of a safety. We had one practice, I was at safety, and I made a heck of a play in quarters. And from that point on, it was like, you are a new starting free safety, and it started from there.
We're going to go back a little bit, and we're going to talk about the game against Idaho. You ran close to 100 yards to rush the passer, then go down the field, make the play. Talk to me about that play and what that meant to you. What does that say about Lamarcus Joyner?
I mean, that one play sums up my whole identity, and that's effort. And I felt like as a defender, if I don't get him down, it's going to be a touchdown. That was my mentality. Every play, if Lamarcus Joyner didn't make the tackle, then it's going to be a touchdown. And that effort was just what I am. It exemplifies and represents who I am as a person, who I am as a dad, as a husband. Just effort has always been my essence.
You talked about a couple guys that you got a chance to play with. You played with some dogs on that defense. The Jalen Ramseys, the Telvin Smiths, the Timmy Jernigans. I mean, yourself. Man, what was it like to play on that defense?
I think it was more of an honor and privilege for me to play with those guys than it was for them to play with me. I'm like, who is this guy? Like, I better be on my game or I'm going to be overshadowed. I was competing against my guys on defense and other guys in the country. So, that was enough to inspire me and to make me the guy that I was as a football player in college.
I think the game that really brought that 2013 team to the limelight was the night game against number 3 Clemson. And you all went in there and absolutely destroyed the third-ranked team in the country. What do you remember about that Clemson game?
That game, I just remember having an invincible spirit. Just like, there will be nothing on this field that stopped me from making the plays. I believe if you want to be the best, you have to beat the best. It wasn't about beating Wake Forest or Georgia Tech, or no offense to those guys, they work their butts off. But schools like that, when you talk about number 3 versus number 1 that year, for me, it was like, this is the game to make my mark. This is to set me up to get ready for the big leagues.
That was a sod game, and you were elected to be the sod captain. What was it like digging into that sod over in Death Valley and bringing that back home and now having it bronzed over in the sod cemetery?
It's almost like it was surreal. Like, being able to do that it was special, but it means so much more today. It was surreal during the time it happened. I was just enjoying the ride, man. Just always having the next level in my head. But now it's amazing to know that I was able to do that.
Man, tell me, what was practice like going in there with so many high-level players? What was the competition like on the defensive side of the ball when you start looking at that defensive back?
That was the greatest brotherhood that I ever been a part of. We were competitive, but it was always like we wanted to see each other do well. So when I think about competing, we competed for the respect of each other. I think we had that togetherness that kind of like we believed in each other and wanted to see each other do well.
Talk to me about what it was like playing with Jameis Winston.
Jameis on offense had the mentality of a defensive player. Fearless, competitor, and was aggressive. EJ got hurt, and Jameis had to take a couple of reps. And I remember running to him after practice telling him, you're going to be the reason. Next year, when you take over that job, you're going to be the reason we win it all.
Let's go back to that fateful night in Pasadena. What do you remember about that game in 2013?
A lot of adrenaline running, but always just offense and defense never giving up on each other. And like I say, if it's one thing I remember, it's just the great feeling of joy that we completed the season by winning that game and winning it all. And remember, never having doubt that we wasn't going to win that game.
So you go on, you have this long 10-year career in the NFL. Very impressive. You took an opportunity and you turned it into a career, which at that level is very hard. What keeps you busy these days?
5 kids. And I also help out a lot around the community, man. I do a couple of things with my Little League team. I'm kind of like freelancing and, like I say, being great with the responsibilities that I have.
What did that feel like to get the news that you were going into the Hall of Fame as a Seminole great?
Man, I just remember my legs getting weak. I was like, Coach Novell is calling me during dinner. Went to the garage, picked up the phone. He announced it. Noodle legs. I had to take a seat. 10 years later, I'm being inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's a privilege and it's an honor. And I thank the dear Lord for allowing me to be, acclaimed next to you all.
Lamarcus, I will tell you, I'm extraordinarily proud of you. I appreciate you taking the time, and I appreciate you being a Seminole legend. Thank you, my friend.
This episode of Sod Talk was presented by AgPro.